building new clubs and supporting all clubs in achieving excellence. Did you forget already? Okay. When we're building new clubs, what are the 2 people, actually it's 4 people, we need to do that? Tell me loud.
Sponsors and sponsors.
Absolutely. Is that role crucial, Vanessa?
Yes, ma'am.
It makes or breaks the club, doesn't it? Whether we can get them off on the right foot or not. And I know that Jamuna has been doing some trainings on GoToMeeting. If you would like to have a more in-depth training after today, I think you should check with our program quality director, as she's always happy to help us so that we can be stronger in this area, because it is crucial. So our club growth director, distinguished Toastmaster, Guy Dawson, is going to come forward and teach us how to be good sponsors and mentors. Guy?
Has anyone out there sponsored or mentored a club? Well, a whole bunch of you. Will someone share their experience? How about you, Kate?
My first club was on the East Coast at Geico. I moved to the West Coast, also at Geico, but they didn't have a club. Luckily, I somehow found a relationship with an area governor, which I didn't really know what that was. But I found a relationship with an area governor who came in and helped me to start a club at my new job at Geico. I love how you're telling us, Guy, that you just have to have the idea. So I just knew that at my previous business, it was really fun to have a lunchtime club, and I just wanted that same experience. I didn't really know how to have that happen. Though somehow, I don't even know how these people came into my world, but somehow I got people from Toastmasters to come in, and they set up a kickoff. We had enough people who started that day. So all the things that we talk about happening, I was just watching and being there. It was my idea, and I got them in the building, and I got to interview with my president, etc. But it was really handled from the leaders in the district. So I've had that experience of having that happen, and the club faltered a little bit, and then restarted, and now they're Gecko Toastmasters. I think it's really cute.
It is, though. I mean, if you're someone who has a heart for Toastmasters, and I know all of us do, it is one of the most exciting experiences that you'll have. What about you, Amanda? What was it like? You just did one recently.
So I luckily was tasked with MGM Resorts International from our Vice President and now Chief Sales Officer, Mike Dominguez, to charter a club. We, in September of last year, met with about 20 people from VPs, directors, and sales, catering, and convention services. We just about 2 weeks ago, actually we rephrased, earlier this year we split into 2 clubs. 2 weeks ago we had an open house for both clubs. One open house had 19 people, the other one had over 25. We now have grown with both clubs. One club is over 30, the other one is about to hit over 25, and we're looking at having a 3rd club. So what was exciting is I came from Aldridge to that, and 3 of my, 2 of the girls that were in that club with me were my sponsors and mentors, and one was a sister of one of those girls. And the 4 of us just ran with it and had a really great time chartering one of them and then splitting off, and it's been an incredible experience, and I can't wait to see the future of what happens at MGM Resorts.
Yeah.
You are literally a part of the birth of a club. And there was something that was mentioned earlier about how sometimes you see with sponsors and mentors, there's not the long-term commitment where people will just go and try to fulfill what they have to get their DTM. And I think it's really critical. I'm going to get into the objectives here in a second in the process, but I think it's really critical to go into any sponsorship or mentor situation thinking long-term. I mean, that you are actually a part of the development of that club, and it's definitely, if you're a mentor, you truly need to be there and be a part of that process. Like I was talking about before, is the people that you're working with have absolutely no idea of how to run a Toastmaster club. You are their life preserver, especially in those first months, 6 months to 12 months, when they're in the complete developmental stage, just learning about the manuals, learning how to run a meeting. It's critical. And you can hang around if you're a sponsor too. I mean, it's okay for you to go longer than just the required time of getting the club up and running. So we'll talk about the club lead. Katie was talking about that a second ago, and I've been speaking with you about that this morning, is that you can literally start this whole process with one of the leads that you gave me today, the birth of a club. How to be a sponsor. Okay, who else said they were sponsored? Simon, how do you be a sponsor?
Well, the role of a sponsor in my case, and as I understand it, is to start from the beginning, the inception of saying, hey, yes, we're going to start a club here, making those contacts, and going from that point through the point of charter. And in my case, I was working with our immediate past division governor, Monty Schindler, who had planted the seed 2 years earlier at his company, which is the County Services Agency in Stanislaus County. And he finally had a corporate sponsor, an HR person who used to be a Toastmaster, said, yes, let's do it. And our district director, Debbie Baker, went with Monty and others to meet with the club, with the folks there. And in that conversation, we're like, well, we want to pay for this, but we don't want to do that. And Debbie said, well, we could do a stagecraft. And they said, oh, we like that idea. And so what we did is we ran an 8-week stagecraft. We had 40 people sign up. We took 15 of them. We graduated 8, and those were the members of the club. And one of the keys that we had, and I invite all of you to think this way, we had 2 sponsors, but they had different jobs. Monty was the opener. He got it all started. I was the closer. I was the one who came in and put the list with 20 slots on the board, starting from week 4, and said every week, if you have already decided that you will join the club if we started, give me your name now. And I started making the list. We had 13 members committed by the time we graduated, our speechcraft members, and we chartered it during the kickoff.
That's a committed sponsor there, though.
I was not going to go a year. He spent a year chartering my club, and the secret that will now be out, I quit my club before we chartered. And I went and said, I quit. And I said, oh, no, you don't really quit. Here's all you need to do. Please just do it. I wouldn't have a club if it weren't for that kind of commitment and turning things around and saying, no, we can do it. But I wasn't going to spend a year traveling 2 hours each way to go to more meetings to get it done. So I had to make sure we did it, and we did it. So it took closer skills, sales closer skills, group closer skills. How do you do fundraising? You put a thermometer, make a list, do something visual, get everybody thinking, hey, who do you know? But there are skills to being a sponsor. Learn them. Let's train our team building teams. Train the people who are going to be not just the presentation here. This is a start, but there are other skills we need. Just like the officers at the TLI get some skills, but we've got to be training them along the way. So, thank you.
Kathy Sherwood talks about this a lot, is as the sponsor, really from the beginning, you have to create a sense of urgency. The people that are creating these clubs, they don't understand how important it is to get a club chartered as quickly as possible. The longer that a club stretches and doesn't charter, the more chances. Sandra was talking about, everybody gets lackadaisical and they don't see that there really is a need to even charter the club. They're meeting, they're fulfilling their roles, why even waste time? You as the sponsor are really responsible for keeping them on task, giving them that sense of urgency. We need to get this done from the beginning when you're getting out the invitations, even to set up the kickoff meeting. Be very persistent with getting the evites out there. You just always want to be impressing upon them. There's so much value in having a chartered Toastmaster club. I see that sometimes with these clubs, these charterings that go on for sometimes years where they're not a chartered club, is they just cannot see the benefit of why a person would actually have a chartered Toastmaster club. You have to impress that upon the people that you're working with as the sponsor. You got to constantly be letting them know you're going to be a part of all of this when you're a member. And you have to be clear in your mind of what it is that we have to offer someone when they actually become a member of Toastmasters. So can someone give me what do they have? Why would someone want to be an actual member rather than a charterling? Jamuna?
I want to talk about the sponsor. One of the most important things about the sponsor closing the deal and doing the paperwork. Because this is a very crucial time where you have to bring the paper in and to be submitted to the Toastmasters International. One small thing is not there, it's just going to block. And in most cases, TA doesn't call you and tell, okay, Debbie, you wanted to start a club and this information is not there. So we have to be proactive. If you send in a paper, immediately call and follow up. Start the work, complete the work. When you start the project, make sure you follow up and complete the project successfully. This is very crucial. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that pretty much describes the whole process of chartering a club, which she said, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, consistency, persistence, because things that you think won't happen, when we get in these charter situations, I mean, there are so many details that can be left out. TI is very stringent. I've learned that through a long charter. When I went through a couple of years ago, they are so detailed about things being submitted correctly, and so it's so critical to be persistent.
Now, we have a number of leaders in the district who would be very happy to review paper before it goes in, so it doesn't have this blocking issue. If one person does it, they get 90% right, and the person reviewing it, they know another 90% will be right, pretty much at 100%. So do feel free to take advantage of that. I know Debbie, we have to review paperwork. I'd be happy to review paperwork. I know Monica, you've done a few clubs now. You can do paperwork. Jesse can do paperwork. So just pick your buddy and have somebody look at it so that it just speeds that up.
And what will happen is sometimes you be working with entities, and their people will want to submit the paperwork. And I would say use some of your persuasive skills to let members of Toastmasters have a look before they submit, because almost always those applications do not turn out correctly. If there are no Toastmaster eyes on those applications, from my experience, 90% of the time, they just won't. They don't have the knowledge of the paperwork, the experience that all of us, and many of us have chartered clubs. And so even though they'll want to do it sometimes because they think they can, I would really work towards persuading them in a nice way. Is there, can we get some Toastmaster people to take a look at this before you send it in? Because it really will spare all of us a lot of difficulty on down the line when something is done correctly. Has anyone mentored a club? Okay.
I was just going to say, one of the tips that I use with non-Toastmasters is they know I've been a Toastmaster for 4 years. I'll make a comment on it. If you'll just let me put my initials on the paperwork, I know everybody in headquarters knows me.
Persuasion.
And I can speed your paperwork along a lot faster. You'll just let me look over it, and I'll just initial it, they know my initials, and I know them, so that when I do follow up, it's like, okay, oh, it's got the expiration date on the credit card. You know? So that's how I sell myself to non-Toastmasters is, I've been around forever, I've done this hundreds of times. Let me just put my initials in the corner and then we just go.
Right, and so if you haven't been around forever, you sell K. Or you sell K, you sell Debbie, you sell someone who has experience, and get them. Keep it simple like that, because most logical people can see that. They can see, well, this person has a lot of experience. We have a lot of respect for experience in our world, and that's a good way to get around that thing, because you'll get headstrong people sometimes. They're very intelligent in what they do, but they don't know anything about submitting paperwork for Toastmasters, and it causes difficulty. Somebody had a question.
I was going to say what you did. Got the initials on there, and you say, K, she could take
I have to see the paperwork. My initials on it. That integrity thing, you know?
Has anyone been a mentor? What was that like, Michelle?
Being a mentor, if you haven't been one, is extremely rewarding. And at the time, I was a mentor for Golden Voices. So it was a 45-minute drive every Wednesday back and forth each way. But I didn't mind because I received so much from it. Even though I was an advanced communicator at the time, I learned so much about the club meetings, things that after a few years you don't think about. Why do we do this or why do we? And here we have a bunch of new Toastmasters asking, but why did we do that? And you think, oh, well, and it makes you really think. And I learned as much from them as they did from me. And it was very rewarding and highly recommend it to anybody who have not done it.
Yeah, that fits. Thank you, Michelle. That fits perfectly in with the next slide, is that when you are teaching something, it's a way for you to refresh yourself on the skill set. And I can't think of a better way, actually, to start to remember, because they always have lots of questions when you're dealing with brand new people in Toastmasters, and it makes you think about things, again, that you're doing so naturally because you've been to so many meetings and you don't even think about what you're doing. You're unconsciously competent in what you're doing, but they're not. They're the other extreme. They're consciously incompetent, or unconsciously incompetent is how most people start. I didn't mean. Yeah, they're working, they're developing their skills as Toastmasters. But you working with them will enhance your leadership skills, as it talks about on this slide. Develop project management skills. So even from the very beginning, you're working on a project. Once we've got that kickoff date established, just like we did the other day, Monica was a part of that. I've been working with ITT, Technical Institute, for about 2 months before we finally got them to the point where they were set to do a kickoff meeting, and from there, when you start bringing in mentors and sponsors, you begin the project. And there are a lot of logistics that go into putting on a kickoff meeting. Monica, you've been down this road. What's it been like for you?
How many of you in this room have grandkids? You treat a new club just like you would one of your grandkids. You take them by the hand and you lead them every step of the way. You be there at the meetings consistently because it shows them consistency, and it's really a great feeling. I had this happen about 2 weeks ago. I started a club in Hanford. I think they started April, so it's been about 5 months now. I was sitting in the meeting about 2 weeks ago, and all of a sudden, this feeling came over me that they're here. They've arrived. It is all starting to gel. They are all beginning to know each other. They know what roles they need to do. I didn't really need to do much that meeting. So what you're doing is just guiding them until they can get themselves to the point where it's just rolling and moving. And you really just need to consistently be there and be their parent and just guide them.
The transcendent moment.
While you're doing that, while you're getting them to that point, you're developing your own project management skills, because there's a different phase of this entire process. Getting them up to that kickoff meeting, hopefully you can get 20 of them that very day, and then we get the paperwork in, everything goes to TI. We live in an imperfect world. It doesn't always work out like that. So sometimes the project can go on and on and on, but if you look at it from that point of view, yes, you are moving them closer to getting 20 members. You are developing your project management skills, because you have to keep them engaged. And when you're putting on a project, sometimes just keeping people engaged is a very important part of the project, especially when they are new to something and just don't know very much about it. But your job is to move them along, get them to the point where they are a chartered club. Expand your marketing expertise. Again, it depends on what that looks like. I know that there is a lot of marketing that leads up to that kickoff meeting, between the Evites, staying in contact with the people. It's very important that you do as much promotion as possible. You want to get as many people to that kickoff meeting as possible. What is it? Well, there's been some really large ones. I've heard of kickoff meetings with 70, 80 people, 100 people.